Affinity Photo can create some amazing shapes and designs from a very basic shape, a straight line. How to create something like this very quickly in Affinity Photo. First thing to do, just go over here and select the pen tool. So with the pen tool selected, click on the document and then hold down the Shift key and click again. What you then need to do is set the stroke. So you can go up here and you can set the stroke to any colour. So set the stroke to maybe green or red or pink. Once you've done that, also set it to 100 points. So it makes sense, 100 points. You can set it beyond that, maybe to 200, 300. But I think this is reasonable, 100 points. With that, you can now rasterize the design. Simply just go to Layer and then down to Rasterize, because I want to turn it into a solid design instead of a stroke. So now I've got this. I can then use layer effects. Just go over here and with layer effects, with this selected, I can click effects. So effects, I can go to 3D and I can drag this radius. I can push it up to about 80. You get this lovely rounded sort of 3D like effect. You can also add outer shadow as well. So make certain it's selected there, highlighted, and then just drag these to approximate the middle, radius, offset and intensity to get a drop shadow. And then click close. Well, this design I want to turn into a pattern. Now if I just go and convert it to a pattern now, so go to layer and new pattern layer from selection, if I do that, the result is that, which is not what I want. I want this. Well, the way to do it, just undo, make certain you rasterize this again, this time layer, and then just go down here to rasterize and preserve layer effects. Now, if you're using any stroke design like this, I think it's a really good idea to just keep rasterizing it. Unfortunately, there is no fill option available within Affinity Photo to turn that stroke into a fill. You can do it in Designer, but unfortunately not in Affinity Photo other than by this rasterization approach. And then rasterize. So now you've got this design, all one solid pixel layer. Now I can turn it into a pattern. So go over to Layer and then New Pattern Layer from Selection. And there you get this lovely thin design. And you can resize this. Now I've made the design fairly big, so I can resize it like that. I can shrink it a bit. I can also stretch it. So I'm just going to drag this way. And now you can of course drag it all the way down if you want and drag it all the way up to get something like that. Up to you. But once you've got that, you can then rasterize that as well. Simply just go to Layer and then down here to Rasterize. And that will just turn it into this lovely three-dimensional line design, which you can then select here and just delete that one. That's the old one. So now I've got this depth design. Now another way of doing this, you could create multiple thin lines and apply these obviously strokes to different ones, different 3D effects. You could apply all kinds of different designs, but this creates a nice uniform design that I'm going to use now with some filters. So pixel layer, I can now go to filters and I can go to distort and deform. So with that, I can now click and add some pins and I can distort this design. So what I can do, just simply drag like that. Now I suggest dragging off there, or maybe another one, go with, instead of rigid, you can go to similarity. I think that's a much nicer one. So similarity, just drag out like that, click there and drag out that way. And you can create a variety of different designs and click apply. So you've got that. But what you can also do is you can turn this into a pattern as well. Now this design needs a mirror effect. So when I go over here to Layer, New Pattern Layer from Selection, select that, I get this result. And you can see it looks pretty ugly because you've got these lines here. Well, what you can do, you can go up here to Mirror. As long as you've got the Move tool selected, you've got this selected, just go to Mirror. Make sure you select that. And now you get a lovely effect without those sort of cuts in the design. You've still got that one behind there, so let's just remove that to make it clearer. And I can resize this And you can see I can now create all kinds of different designs and combinations. I could duplicate this layer. I can also add additional effects to it. So this one you can do over here, go to effects, click there, go to 3D, and you can see then the 3D effect is added on top of that original 3D effect. And you can change the radius there. You can see like that to make it even more sort of round and very plastic-like effect. If you want, decide, you know what, I don't want that colour, so make certain you select colour overlay. You can go to colour, click here, and maybe make it, say, green or gold or whatever. Whole range of different colour options. And also you can add gradient overlays, inner glow, and also inner shadow as well. So let's just click that one, and you can see then change that, offset, and you can see you can create some variations there, and click close. So this design can also be rasterized as well and modified further using various deform effects, mirror, etc. So let's just go back again. I'm just going to go back to this first point, make certain with the pen tool. So here's the pen tool, click here and hold down shift. This just creates a nice straight line. You don't have to have a straight line, but obviously depending on what you want to create, but I'm going to go with a straight line. Or you can create some variations of the previous one simply with this one selected. You can always press return or enter on the keyboard, and this will bring this up, move and duplicate, and you can go to duplicate. So with that duplicate set on, you can change the number of copies, and also I can change the horizontal. So this time I'm not going to go for 22, that's a lot of copies, say 11, and you can see as I do that I can drag this across and I've got all these. Click OK. Well, what you can do, you don't have to go with the same thing, you can select this one. And I would suggest a really useful thing, just go to swatches, and then with swatches, just go to colours, and then you can select different colours. Now, what will happen here? The fill changes, the stroke unfortunately doesn't. By default, it always goes with the fill. So what you need to do is, with this one, just click here, stroke, make sure you get that up. Let's just get rid of this, the swatch is down there. That one's selected, double click. Now, for some weird reason, it doesn't seem to be appearing. That's very odd. So let's just click there again. Nope, doesn't want to know. So I can resize this, but it doesn't seem I can't. Oh, finally. Finally it changes. Shows you when you're running a tutorial, doesn't always work in the way. And unfortunately, Affinity does do this. It just seems to, as soon as you select something, click there, this doesn't respond. Should do, but it doesn't. So just go and change the colour, and you can see now as I go along I can change this, and you can create a variety of designs. Now of course it's going to be slightly smaller than the other ones. I've reduced obviously the whole width, and I can click this one, and again hopefully this will appear, and you can see you can build up and create a different design all the way across. Okay, so I've recoloured everything now. I've also resized some of them. Now quite a few of them, unfortunately, when I click the stroke, just ignored me. So it's one of those weird things with Affinity Photo sometimes. Okay, what you can then do, just select with the move tool, and I can just drag over all of them. All of them selected. Now what I can do, I can go over here and I can rasterize them, or I can simply just apply the effect now. So I'll just go down here, click effects, the FX there, and then go to 3D, so 3D, and they will all then get this 3D effect. And you can see you can modify this, and you can change the soften, you can change the, let's just change the direction as well, and you can see you can create some interesting sort of neon effects very quickly just by changing this. And also if you want, going for an outer shadow, which again I always generally go for about halfway to create, I think, the best shadow effect, and then click close. So you've got that. Now at this point you can rasterize them all, and simply just go to layer and rasterize, and I don't want to preserve the layer effect, click rasterize, and they're all turned into pixel layers. And now once you've got that, you can then, if you want, you can group them all, you can merge them all into a single one. So layer and merge selected, so they're all merged into a single pixel layer. And with that you can then go to filters and distort and maybe deform again. So deform, and then you can distort this. Again, add some pins and warp this design. And you can see you can create some, again, very unusual, unique line designs very quickly. Again, one of these things, when you click something, it sometimes just ignores you. It's very weird, don't know why. You can also go for similarity as well. It's another option. And you can see you can distort it like that to create some quite interesting combinations of lines. And then see, again, it's very odd. Sometimes you really have to click dead on centre. It's very frustrating sometimes, these pins. I think the range, the area should be controllable here so you can manipulate it when sometimes those points are hard to click. Well, once you've got this design, now you can duplicate this design. Now you'll notice there's a problem, and the reason I did it this way is that you best to avoid going over the edges. So if I now go here to the move tool and drag, it cuts it off. Now weirdly, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I've done this and you do get the lines and the lines seem to extend. Don't understand why. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't seem to like it. But then of course what you can do, and if you did a better job than I have, simply hold down the Alt Option key and you can then duplicate this design, and you can see you can create some interesting combinations like that, again with lots and lots of lines, which you can then distort and drag and so on, build up a fairly complex picture or a random design very quickly, which you may or may not want to do. I hope you found this of interest. Any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Always great to hear from you. A like or dislike, always appreciated. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Always adding new tutorials all the time about Affinity Photo, Illustrator, Photoshop and others. Bye.